Well, guess what I'm making here? Making some bacon. I got it all set up this time so you guys don't have to watch me put strip by strip down and get grease all over the camera. Anyway, I figure they're my videos and I'll make whatever the heck I want. Who cares, right? And it gives me a chance to talk, considering I'm talking in most of my videos anyway. Bacon's a good little system. Anyway, I had a buddy call me this week, and I'm an auto mechanic, so I have no problem. I love when if friends call me and they need help, I love helping them, so it's not a big deal or nothing. If I can help somebody that's been there for me in life, that's no problem at all. But anyway, that's my buddy Dave the Rave. We lived together in college. Well, my door was here, and you could go down a basement and up the other side. He was in the same complex as me, and we were only 50 feet apart. And I was thinking about college and me and Dave living in this. We lived in this dump on a place called William Charles Court here in Green Bay. Down the road from the stadium, and it was notorious in this town for being, it wasn't ghetto per se. It was notorious for having all types of scallywags. The funniest people, I mean, you know, from people that were just getting out of jail, probably half of them were divorced. It was this community of people over here. We had a guy called the Birdman that collected birds in 30 cages outside and stacked them up. We had, you know, it was just one of those apartment complexes that seemed to take anybody, you know, for the most part. And boy, did we have some stories to tell. I could tell stories for hours about this, living in this apartment with me and my buddy Dave. And so this basically, we always get these wacky neighbors, right? Wacky. I don't even know how to go about telling some of the stories, you know. One day, me and Dave were coming home, and we see the whole road was covered in smoke. Somebody's apartment evidently was on fire, right? Not like flames shooting out. And we're like, what the hell, right? So we stop the car, we get out, we go around the back of the apartment to go see what's going on, and somebody was already there, one of the other neighbors, and he's kicking the door in with just a regular hose and spraying this hose, right, into the apartment. And me and Dave are like, what the hell? Anyway, what had happened was this guy was all whacked out on drugs, and he tried cooking a fish with oil in a frying pan and left it on high and fell asleep on his couch and started the whole apartment on fire. And oh man, I still remember that day because me and Dave were just staring at each other, because I'm never gonna forget the guy that was holding the garden hose, you know, how ridiculous it looked before oh my God. So evidently this guy decided he was from another country. I don't even want to guess where, you know. Another time, poor Dave, he always had the worst luck. It's almost comical. It's not funny, but it's almost comical. With the neighbors he would get above stairs. I'll show you the apartment complex, and my apartment, I got so lucky because they only had one. It was on the side, you know, so it didn't have upstairs, but it was connected to the main building, but it was just one over, and it didn't have an upstairs, so I never had to worry about having an upstairs neighbor. And Dave had the worst luck ever in getting neighbors that were noisy. And I try not to laugh, because he could come over, mind you, to tell me what was going on, because we had a front door and then there was a side door. So he could open his side door, go down the stairs where there was washers and dryers, and then come up the other side by me. It was parallel, you know, on the same stairs. So he could just come up to my side door inside and knock on the door. And every day them neighbors were banging and Oh, just driving him to the point where he couldn't take it no more. And he'd come over sometimes, and I'd see he'd have to hang out on the couch or something for whatever, or stay around because he could not take it anymore. You know, he needed to cool his nerves down because the kids up there. I don't want to guess, but I think they were from Nigeria or something this time, the family. And one day we went up there. Before this, even, we went up there to meet the new neighbor. You know, we tried to be neighborly or whatever. And they were living on boxes, and we knew Dave was in trouble then. I looked at Dave. He looked at me. We went up there to say hi to the new neighbors. And they were sitting on boxes, and they didn't have any furniture. And they were using boxes as furniture. And it looked like they had one big frying pan. And I looked at Dave, and we just shook our heads because I just knew the poor son of a gun was going to get it. And he did. He did. There was times the cops showed up and they were jumping out the 2-story windows into the back bushes. Oh. Anyway, I was pretty poor. You know, I was in college. I was going to TC. I was just selling cars out of the apartment, making what you could. It wasn't big business back then. Cars really weren't big business. I made enough to survive, but we were poor. We were on the poverty line, right? Right on the poverty line. And, and by the way, I'm getting a microphone this week. I got it in the mail. So I don't have to keep screaming at the camera, you know, and I sound so ridiculous. I got a clip-on microphone coming. We were on the poverty line for sure. But we were single guys. So it wasn't a big deal, you know. But we had so much fun being poor. I look back now, and the only reason I brought Dave up today in that is because I was thinking these memories came back today, and I was going to take a ride over there, but they tore everything down. They tore everything down for the Packer walk. Now it's all rich. I told you in my Packer video, I know you guys probably won't go back and watch it. I pointed where we lived. One day I'll have to drive back there, but it's all condos now, you know. Green Bay used to be a small town, so it used to be fun little stuff like this going on. But anyway, we didn't have a car. I didn't have a car at the time. Usually I do, but I didn't. I only had a moped. And it used to be freezing cold winters in this apartment, right? And if I had to go somewhere or whatever, me and Dave would have to ride together because it was his car or whatever. Not always, but enough. And he had this old Chevy. I believe it was still called a Celebrity back then. It was like an 89 or 90. It was old. It was an old square body car. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a Chevy. And the first time I rode with Dave, I still won't forget it. He showed up to give me a ride, you know. And he's wearing, I don't know if it was 2 sets of coats or, because it was like -10 out, right? And I don't know if it was 2 sets of coats or if he was wearing a sweater and a coat and a hat and big gloves. And and he came to the door, and I don't know if, I just remember, I don't know exactly what year or what, you know, I just remember we lived there together for probably, I want to say, it was a while. I don't even want to get it messed up, but I was through college there and a couple years. We had to have been together there for almost 5 years or something. And anyway, he shows up the door and gives me a ride, and he's covered in all this, and I'm thinking, what the hell you got, you know? It's cold, but I'm thinking, you know, he looks like a snowman or a Eskimo. And he's like, oh, you got no heat in the car. Oh my God, I used to laugh. I'd get in there, you know, I think he either handed me gloves or he said, you better get your gloves on, you know what I mean? So I'm dressing up. So here we are, 2 Eskimos. Every time we had to get in this car, we'd be shaking and shivering, and you could see this. I look over at him, you know, it was -20. I look over at him, we'd just be shivering in this son of a bitch, you know? And I look over at him, you could see his breath, you know, and he'd have this smile on his face, and he'd go, yeah. I can't even copy what you do, but you make this laugh. Oh, we just laugh. I was thinking back on that this week. We just laugh. So damn cold, you couldn't even feel your body, and he'd just laugh. We'd always go to make a right, at the first road, there was a gas station that would serve like hot burgers and whatever. And the only way he could see was through the little itty bitty emergency hatch they leave on the little emergency hatch, that the little, the defroster, they'll leave a little itty bitty emergency hatch so that it always exhausts in case of emergencies. And he'd have to drive with his head down, like this. And he'd have to watch out so his feet didn't go through the floorboards and hit the road because there's huge holes in the floor. I was thinking about that this week. And I'm like, at the time we didn't know how good we had it. We were always trying to do something to get a better job, trying to do something to make money, and little did we know we were living the best times of our life. We used to go out to the bars and do the best we could to get a drink for free or two. We go from one to another, or one thing or another. We were always, I was anyway. Dave didn't go to the bars too much, but we were always trying to find a way to make it, and we were always broke, and we were always complaining. We're always trying to find something that we could sell at a pawn shop, or every week was a different adventure. And I'll tell you what, I was thinking about it. I lay in bed today because Dave was going to come over if he had a problem with an alternator up there. And I was thinking about him this week, and I'm like, God, the memories me and him have together will keep us tied forever together, just laugh and all the memories. We used to, there was a neighbor, I think his name was Ray. I'm trying to remember. He was just alcoholic, nothing to do with the topic at hand, really, besides the fact that 24 hours a day, you could walk over there with any instrument you want, or he had a piano in the house, and you could just sit down and start jamming music, and he'd just sit there on the couch, and you could have a whole band going, and we'd put a guitar in his hands, and he'd just sit there, and he'd nod off, and then all of a sudden, Dave's a really good piano player, so he'd be playing piano. I was just learning how to play the guitar, so I'd be going, driving everybody nuts, and the guy would just pop awake randomly and start playing chords, and then fall back asleep within like 10 seconds, and me and Dave used to just laugh. We had so much fun. Just something to do, and I'm looking back at all these, and I got stories. I could write a whole book about William Charles Clark, and I really should consider it. I wish I was a good writer. Now, I got this bacon from Walmart. It's bacon, but it certainly don't look as good as the fat kind of peeled off the sides. And yeah, anyway, we'd go play on the, I think his name was Ray. I can't remember. Don't quote me on it, but it's better to just use a name that you think it is than try to go for hours thinking about it, but every day he'd come out, and all the neighbors would come out, and everybody had a story to tell, man. One guy, we called the Birdman. He literally just kept taking bird after bird after bird. He'd stack them in cages. He had cages everywhere. He'd sit out there with his Indian head beer every single day and he had been there. He's notoriously called the Birdman. I remember him there when we were in high school. They called him the Birdman, and this is when I went to college. And he had them birds out there to the day they tore the building down, I heard. But anyway, he had it was 30 bird cages. And he'd have to take them out and pile them all up in the sun outside. And I mean, good for him. He took care of them birds, and he drank his Indian. You never bothered the Birdman because he'd lose it. I've never seen him with a shirt, not once. Vietnam vet kind of guy. Tattoos. Nobody ever messed with the Birdman. I certainly didn't. He'd always have all types of weird characters, old guys over there. They never bothered me, though. I don't think I said no more than, in 5 years, I don't think I said no more than 10 or 20 words to him. You just look at him, you knew. He isn't going to like a young, cocky, loudmouth kid, and it's going to end up in trouble. So even back then, I got smart enough to know that. Some people, I rub people the wrong way. I'm definitely not going to rub some of my neighbors the wrong way. So I gave him space, and I'd so I'd come out my door and look, and their Birdman there would have 30 birds outside in cages. I'd be selling a car sometimes, so I'd have a broken down car in front of my apartment. Basketballs. We had one time we got bored and cut I cut a whole golf hole out for shooting and chipping in putts. We had it chipping in. We'd be out there shooting golf. We had a hunting range. It had there was a bank through the. So we put it in the middle of the city. I had a little hunting range put up. Ripped all the screens out of the window, and you could hunt right out of the back of right in the middle of the city, just like if you want to shoot at squirrels or something. I don't do that anymore. I'm just telling the stories. I don't hurt innocent animals, and I don't think hunting's. I'd eat them. Okay, so it's a catch-22. But I don't know. I'd get a big squirrel back then and something. I'd skin it, and I ain't afraid to eat squirrel. But no, I don't do that kind of stuff anymore. I actually have a bunch of birdhouses here, and I really respect small animals. And I wish I was like that my whole life, but yeah, well, that's a story for another time. When you're a kid, you're young and stupid, and I don't know. Anyway, look at this here. I got this all cooking up nice. I don't know exactly how done I want. This one cooks up quicker. You can see that. The other one took a half hour. This one, we're only at 16 minutes, and it's dang near done. So, but yeah, I was thinking about you, Dave, this week, and he said he watches my videos, so I thought that was really cool. And thanks for watching the videos, Dave. I don't know if anybody will ever hear these stories, though. Maybe one day. But like I said, cooking bacon kind of gives you a chance to talk for a little while, and I like that, actually. Because you're doing something and talking. It's like a driving chat, But anyway, I was thinking back on college because I talked to Dave this week, and we'll catch up again. We're all busy. Everybody's busy. Everybody's got something going on. People have families. People have things going on. It's so hard to have. That's why I look back with the fondest memories. We just did not know how good we had it. I had responsibility with nothing like I do now, and we both of us. Oh, we had it good. We laughed every day. We laughed a lot. We played a lot of musical instruments. I don't think I pick up the guitar ever like I did then. No, hardly. We had a lot of fun. There was a guy upstairs that wanted to be a poker player, and he'd run poker games, and every week, certain days of the week, it was like living in a loony bin, a crazy asylum. And he'd have the going, poker games every Wednesday and Friday, I believe it was. So you could play no limit hold'em. If you could get $5, you'd have 13, 14 neighbors up there, and all types of crazy neighbors, and somebody would always show up. There was always something going on. I'm trying to think of other stories quick before, what else happened there. I'm trying to think. We've seen a lot of stuff there. We had a lot of fun. Anyway, yeah, when you're living in the, we didn't know how good we had it in life. When you're living in the pot, what are you whining about? You want to go outside? Yeah, you always got to wipe these down hot like that. Best way to go, get all that grease off, get that steam going like that. Letting her soak up in here, Grab a little container to put them away in, and that'll last a day or two. Anyway, I've just been laughing the last couple of days because every time I talk to him, it brings back all these memories, man. The best times of my life, I look back. When you're in poverty like that, You don't see it. And it's one thing if you got kids. It was just the guys. You know, it's one thing if you got kids to take care of and stuff. It's not so funny, you know, but it was just the guys there, you know. Just the guys being guys. Trying to find out where they belong in life. Going through breakups. And, man, it would have been a TV series. I should really write a TV series about it. I really should. It was that funny. The things that would go on during the day were that funny, you know. Anyway, here's the bacon. It's done, and I hope you guys have a really good day. And Dave, I was thinking about you today. We had a lot of fun, didn't we? Anyway, try to enjoy the small things in life, because one day you're going to be a middle-aged man with a bunch of responsibilities. Looking back, and the times you thought were tough were the best times of your life.